How has it felt to get these opportunities the last couple of games and the couple of weeks that you were out of the rotation? How did you handle that and try to prepare for these opportunities?
Yeah, I mean, when you're on the outside looking in, you want to get back in there as much as you just there's a huge heightened awareness and heightened urgency when you do get that chance. But I just have faith, trust the guy. I got a lot of good people around me to just kind of push me and keep my mind right. And I've said this before, but that's the position I've been in most of my career, on the outside looking in, waiting for an opportunity. And I think that helps me that I have so much experience with it. So it's nothing I haven't seen before. And but the cool thing about this was, like, I knew it was coming back. Just the way Joe is, and like mixing it up all the time, and that's what I've always wanted. In the past, and haven't been able to get in there unless there's an injury or two guys are down or whatever it is. So I knew it was coming back. It was just a matter of time, and I just wanted to make sure when I got that chance that I went out there and did everything I could to help the Celtics.
What's the communication process through that? Like, are you getting feedback from the coaching staff? Is Joe talking to you during those weeks? Like, what kind of things are you working on through that?
For sure. I mean, I think he's kind of made sure we all know that he's going to use every player in his locker room at one point or another, and there's going to be stretches where he leans on different guys, but he likes to lean into the depth that we have, and so you kind of understand that. But yeah, there was conversations with Joe. He was always checking on me, and then also just with DJ, who I work with, kind of just watching some of the film of the stretches that I had, and kind of talking me through everything, and just for myself. In those moments, I just stay in the gym. I stay ready. I keep myself in shape so I can go out there. Your name can get called at any point, and you can change. You can change everything. In one game or a 3-4 game stretch. So.
As for tonight, Joe went with a full bench group less than 3 minutes into the second half. What was the mindset of that group?
Just create havoc, just junk up the game, try to get some pressure on them, make the little plays, the effort plays. I think we had that lineup out there in Toronto, or very similar, with me, Baylor, Ugo, and whoever else was out there, or Ant was out there as well. Just kind of going out there and playing as hard as we can, and just trying to turn the game around. And I think there was, sometimes I feel like we just kind of jolted, the game and our energy and effort, and then everybody came in and took care of the rest. And JB was unreal down the stretch, and that's it's a team game. Not every night is every player going to have it. To start the game or whatever. It's the NBA. There's a lot of games, and so we all rely on each other. That's a part of team basketball. We rely on each other to pick the other person up when they're down, and then get them the rhythm, and then they go. And I think tonight we did that.
This is kind of a dumb question, but everybody knows on the other team that you want to get offensive rebounds, and you get 9 the other night, and you're still having success with that tonight. How are you able to still cause that havoc, like despite the fact that everybody on the Pacers knows that's what you're going and trying to do? Like, why do you think you're able to still do that?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's one thing to know, and then another thing to want to box out every single time. It's just there's a lot of games, there's a lot of different things that go into it, and I'm going every single time. So I think that gives me an advantage, and I feel like every time I'm going to put myself in the right areas, and I mean, it's tough. It's tough to get defensive rebounds in this league with guys and athleticism, effort, all of those kind of things. I think for me, I just try to take pride in doing it every single time down. I think that's where other guys can kind of take their foot off the gas, and that's where I can get in there, make a play, and get an extra possession.
How do you prepare yourself?
You have a look on your face, like after when you don't get one, like you failed, like if there's one that you didn't get and you look so disappointed. Is that how you feel? Like every one you don't get is
for sure. I mean, I feel like I'm right there every single time. Especially when the game's flowing. So I think there was at least 3 or 4 that I didn't get tonight that I thought I was right there for and I should have got. But that's the game. And I think it's tough. There's some moments where you feel like you should have 10 and you have 1 or you have 0 because the ball is just not bouncing your way. But all I can do is control what I can control, and that's the process of putting myself in a good position every single time.
How do you prepare yourself to maintain that energy level?
I think I have no option. To make it in this league, to make an impact on this team, for me, the athleticism I have that doesn't really compare to other guys, and in terms of just the lack of it, I have no option to go out there and take my foot off the gas. I have to give everything I have every moment I'm on the court, and that's been that way since I was a little kid. So I enjoy playing the game that way, and then that's where I have fun with it.
What is it like being out there with a guy?
This is your job, you're a professional, and all the stuff that you've been saying is great, but you're a human being as well.
Yeah.
How do you keep those thoughts of whatever intrusive thoughts, how do you keep that from interfering with putting in the work and all of that
Yeah,
stuff?
I mean, it's been a journey. I mean, it's my 5th year in the league, and I've been like I said, on the outside looking in more than I've been in the rotation. So I've dealt with it a lot, and my rookie year, it was really tough. And I struggled a lot, and I felt like when I was getting out there, I was trying to force too much or was losing my confidence. And then I was cut, and then I was out the league. And, I had to take a E10 to try to make a team to get back in. So that moment just gave me a whole bunch more perspective on everything. And the understanding that, at the end of the day, even if I'm not playing or I'm not in the rotation, I'm living my dream. I never really thought I was going to be here in the league. And, obviously, playing for the Celtics or something like that. So I try to always make sure I feel like there's so much work that's done on the physical side of the game, and people don't talk about the work you have to put on the mental. And that for me is like, I'm journaling, I'm meditating, I'm doing all sorts of things to try to keep my mental right, especially in those moments. That's where I have even more of a sense of urgency to work on that.
When did you start doing that?
So I mean, my my sophomore year of college, I had a stretch where I was playing really well. And then, I followed that up. It was like best 4 games of my career. I followed that up with like the worst 6. And I felt like I was always up and down. And so I needed to make a change. And so that's when I started, that off season when I started to implement that stuff. And I feel like it changed the course of my career, going from junior, senior year, and then obviously into the league. That was a breaking point moment, fork in the road in my career of, was I really going to allow, as a guy who works so hard or whatever, you want to go out there and perform at the level you're capable of, but sometimes you put too much pressure on yourself to do that. That moment in my career helped me out and pushed me to get past that.
What did,
Luka.
Thank you.